Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Joe Hisaishi in Vienna. Who is Joe Hisaishi? Well, some of you probably know better than I do. He is famous as a composer of scores to Japanese anime films. That's his principal claim to fame, as far as I can tell. But he also writes concert music. And for this particular recording of some of his concert music, his Symphony No. 2 and something called Viola Saga. He has gone to Vienna. Why did he go to Vienna? I have no idea. What is the significance of the fact that he's in Vienna? It's not like Iphigenia in Taurus or Iphigenia in Brooklyn, for that matter. It's just Joe Hisaishi in Vienna. Maybe he likes Sachertorte. I have no idea. But this is the title, because everything has to have a title. Always. Even if it's a stupid title. Even if it doesn't tell you anything. It's got to be there. I remember when this first happened. It was starting to happen, and it really was, really weird. Like, who was it? Was it Maria Joao Pires who did something called Le Voyage Imaginaire or something? It was Chopin Nocturnes. I mean, it's okay to call it what it is. This happens to have Symphony No. 2 and Viola Saga. Now, because everything has to have titles, it's just got to have titles. Symphony No. 2 has 3 movements, each one of which has a title. The titles are you ready? What the World Is Now? Question mark. Variation 14 and Nursery Rhyme. Now, I deliberately did not look at the notes here because I want to know if the titles are self-explanatory. Hisaishi's style is a sort of minimalism with a few additional elements, which is what a lot of composers do now, right? So does he have any recognizable personality or style in this? Well, he sort of does. I mean, it doesn't sound like other people's minimalism with a few added elements, but What the World Is Now, that's not a musical thing. There's no way that you can determine what the world is now from listening to this. It sounds like a piece of sort of minimalist, repetitious thing. I mean, it rises to nice climaxes. It's well orchestrated. It's beautifully played and recorded. I mean, it's enjoyable. Variation 14. Well, that begs the question, doesn't it? What's the difference between this and Variation 12 or Variation 15 or Variation 7.5? Or, again, it's not a musical quantity. So it gains nothing by having a title, because whatever the music expresses, it's not expressing Variation 14. That's not a separate thing any more than What the World Is Now is a separate thing. It's impossible. The last movement, however, is called Nursery Rhyme. And nursery rhyme is a thing. Something that we can get into our imagination, something that the music can evoke. And indeed, unlike most of the other movements where you're like desperately waiting for a tune to come sailing in over the perpetually repetitive accompaniment arpeggiation figures, this begins with a tune. And quite beautifully and poetically, it ends softly with the same tune. In the middle, not so much. In the middle, it goes back to what it was doing before. But, if you like that kind of minimalist stuff, you're probably going to enjoy this. And I think it's well written. I do. I mean, it didn't grab me in any particular way because its expressive range strikes me as who was it who said it? Dorothy Parker or something like that. It ran the expressive gamut from A to B. I mean, it's all on one plane, more or less. But the last movement has something there, and it tells me that Mr. Hisaishi, this isn't his real name, by the way, Joe Hisaishi, this is his nom de plume when he's a composer. That's what he calls it. There's something there. I mean, there really is something there that he could make some more of and develop into something, I'm sure. And Viola Saga, which is just a 2-movement work lasting about 21 minutes, is really, I think, a good piece. It's much more interesting than the symphony because it has a soloist. The soloist is a melody instrument, so you damn well better write a few melodies. And he does. He does. He also writes, a boatload of arpeggio figures, which I'm sure would drive most violists insane if they had to play them. But forget about how grateful it is for the soloist. Viola Saga does indeed seem to follow a trajectory. What it is of course a saga of your imagination. It's something that you would make up yourself, but it's a beautiful work. It really is. The two movements work very well. They're about equal length. I found it quite effective. And I listened to it again right away after I heard it the first time, and I enjoyed it. I really did, both times. And I've listened to it a little bit since. So we'll see what happens with this guy. Deutsche Grammophon has signed him to an exclusive contract. He's done millions and millions of film scores and lots of other stuff in Japan. Presumably, this is for the Japanese market, where they may sell millions of them because he may be quite popular there. I don't know. But what I do know is that every few years, Deutsche Grammophon takes a shot at some sort of contemporary trendy thing. Remember, years and years and years ago, it was Todd Levin, and they had like Max Richter, and these things last for a few albums and then they disappear. I really am curious to find out how much staying power this has. Based on Viola Saga, it could have some. I mean, staying power is serious music rather than flash in the pan, sort of popularity. But like I said, time will tell. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.